I'm really excited to bring this episode to you. One of the reasons is that fiber is such an overlooked and undervalued nutrient in our diet. It really gets very little thought, yet it's probably one of the most important nutrients, if not the most important nutrient in our diet. So there's such a backwards thinking that we're seeing. As I talked about in the previous episode on protein, go back and listen if you haven't heard that one. We are experiencing a protein craze and a protein obsession nowadays. And the reality is there aren't very many people deficient in protein. People are getting, on average, twice as much protein as they need. And really, the true concern should be for fiber, because in reality, statistics are telling us that over 95% of people are not getting enough fiber in their diet. That is just astounding. Fiber is probably the number one nutrient that we are now lacking in our diets, and it's definitely affecting our health. And the sad thing is that it entirely gets overlooked, and you rarely will hear fiber mentioned or even thought of when it comes to nutrition. And as I said before, protein usually gets a lot of emphasis, and with other diets, you see things like low-carb crazes, cutting out fruits or this or that. And the reality is, the truth is that you really need to just be getting more fiber if you want to be healthier. Also, if you're trying to lose weight, well, hey, fiber is what's going to help too. I was looking at a study recently, and it had 4 groups of calorie restricted individuals, but they were different diets that each one was doing. And they had each group increase their fiber intake. And surprisingly, all groups lost weight at the same rate when they increased their fiber. It didn't matter the diet. So fiber was kind of the key driver for weight loss. I'll also maybe make a future episode. I had a video in the past. There was Yale researchers looked at the vegan diet for weight loss, a low-fat vegan diet, and they found that it had the best results for weight loss of any of the control diets. And they said that one of the main reasons is that the fiber has, not only does it make you feel full for longer, so you eat less and get less calories, but it also has a thermic effect, which means that in the act of your body just digesting fiber, it actually burns calories doing that. It burns more calories than it would digesting other nutrients. And protein has the same effect, but it's funny because, a lot of times you hear like a high protein diet being touted as a way to increase this thermic effect, but fiber does the same thing, and you rarely ever hear high fiber diets being mentioned for weight loss. So let's get into some more of the details on fiber now. I would almost say that if you could only focus on one nutrient when you are looking at your diet, whether that's protein, carbohydrates, omega-3s, certain vitamins, anything, I think I would say that fiber is the number one thing you should focus on. If you could focus on nothing else and only choose one thing, it would be fiber. And I think if you did that, you would have the healthiest results of anything else out there. That's how underrated fiber is. And I think maybe so many people overlook it because it's not, this like sexy magic pill. It doesn't have this cool name like ashwagandha. It's not like something that's grown in the Himalayas by monks and is this secret thing that very few people know about. And if you just take this, it's going to dramatically improve your health. So I think fiber just gets overlooked because it's not very sexy, Who wants to talk about fiber? But the truth is, it is probably the healthiest nutrient out there that you can get. So I find fiber to almost be like a hidden benefit or a unknown secret when it comes to the plant-based diet, especially the whole food plant-based diet. And what I mean is that fiber just has tons and tons of benefits, anywhere from, lowering your risk of type 2 diabetes to helping to control your blood sugar levels, decreasing risk of cancer, especially certain cancers like breast cancer. Also, it helps you to, as I mentioned, to feel fuller longer and more satiated, so you're going to eat less. And it also draws a lot of the toxins out of your body and helps you to dispel them. It's almost like they call like a gut scraper. So the fiber goes through your system and it grabs all of these like loose toxins and excess cholesterol, and out it goes into the toilet. And that's actually a good thing. And that's another benefit of fiber, is it keeps you regular. It helps prevent constipation. I know since I increased my fiber intake, I've been way more regular, almost to the point where I'm like, is this even normal to go this amount? And it is, and that's a good thing. Like I said, you're getting rid of those toxins. And another very useful benefit we're finding with fiber is that it also helps to increase your microbiome, your gut microbiome. We're finding that the fiber will basically fuel the good bacteria, because the good bacteria eats the fiber. So the more fiber you're getting, that good bacteria will eat it, and it will grow and multiply, and you'll have more of it. And also when it eats the fiber, they release these like short chain fatty acids, which have, I believe they have anti-inflammatory effects in the body. So all that's good stuff. And we're also learning that your microbiome is so important to your health. And that's probably why increasing your fiber intake also leads to lower risk of a lot of these diseases and a healthier heart as well. And as I was mentioning, I've even heard that it'll help you to absorb calcium, so you have stronger bones. So there's just a ton of benefits that come with fiber. And they're actually finding that statistically also people who live longer have higher fiber diets, right? And also, as I mentioned earlier, if you're someone who does struggle with diabetes or cholesterol, then fiber is your best friend, because that's going to help with that as well. Like I said, it'll help to also stabilize your blood sugar levels, which will help you not to, crash midday and want to snack and have like a hangry type effect when your blood sugar levels crash. It'll help to kind of stabilize your blood sugar levels, which is another good thing, especially if you're dieting or trying to lose weight, right? Hey, I just wanted to quickly mention, not only can you get great vegan and plant-based products and supplements in the description below, you can also find great vegan and plant-based art, as well as merchandise such as clothing, t-shirts, hoodies, gifts, things for the home, and much more. Check it out and let's get back to things. So I refer to fiber as like a plant-based secret because one of the main benefits of going plant-based, and especially whole food plant-based, is that you're going to naturally increase your fiber intake without even trying. The reason for that is fiber is, first of all, it's not found in animal-based foods. So, when someone goes keto or carnivore, is doing nothing but, meat and animal-based diets, your fiber is dropping dramatically. And then when you go plant-based, on the other hand, your fiber is going to go up tremendously as a result. And the reason for this is fiber is found in plant-based foods naturally. And if you're eating plant-based, you almost don't even have to look for fiber. That's how cool it is. When you're eating plant-based, you're just going to naturally get fiber on its own. As I mentioned, most, if not all, foods that are plant-based and in their whole form are going to have fiber in them. The only exception is going to be, like your oils, for example. And of course, some people might argue that's not exactly whole food, but that's for another episode. So if you look at some of the basic plant-based foods you might be eating, whether that is oatmeal, potatoes, sweet potatoes, fruits, vegetables, quinoa, even tofu, just all of these foods have fiber in them. And if you're eating them throughout the day, that adds up and will quickly meet your fiber needs and requirements. In fact, one of the drawbacks some people have when they first start eating healthier and plant-based, and I know I experienced this as well, was you may have a little bit of tummy troubles, like an upset tummy, and a little bit of issues with digestion. Now, the first month after I got married and my wife was plant-based and I started eating healthier and I started incorporating like a salad into my nightly meal because she always ate a salad and more fiber foods, I noticed that at nighttime I would have a little bit of an upset tummy, almost like gas pains, and that lasted for like a month. And I don't know exactly if it was related, but I remember Googling and I came across a vegetarian forum, and basically everybody was like, yeah, when you start eating more veggies and fiber foods, what happened to me was I had a little bit of tummy trouble for, X amount of weeks until my body adjusted. So I assume that's what it was. I don't know, maybe it was something else, stress or something, but I do know that went away after about a month, and I've never had trouble with it since then. So I kind of equate it to like going to the gym and working out. Like if you haven't gone and worked out in a long time and you go to that gym for like the first couple of weeks, after the next day you're going to be sore. Like your muscles are going to be sore, they're going to have to adjust, and then eventually you're going to go and the next day you'll be fine and it won't even feel like you worked out. And that's kind of like what happens with your stomach when you first start eating fiber. At first, you're going to maybe notice something, especially depending on what your diet was like before and what kind of an increase you do with your fiber intake. But just know that what's happening is you don't have the good bacteria which digests the fiber. You don't have enough of that in your gut, so it's having trouble digesting it. And what happens is over time, that good bacteria is going to grow as you're feeding it more and more fiber. It's going to start to grow the number of those good bacteria, and that will help you digest that food in the future. And like for me now, I don't have any trouble at all. I eat like tons of fiber and I'm fine. So just know that eventually you'll adjust. And if you need to, kind of like transition slowly if you need to, until your stomach is comfortable. Check out my whole food plant-based guide. I've got some transition tips in there. And so, as I was saying, that when you go plant-based, you almost don't even need to focus on your fiber intake because you're going to be getting tons of fiber naturally. However, if you do want to really focus and make sure that you're getting enough fiber, I would say probably the number one food I recommend for doing that is going to be chia seeds. Chia seeds have tons of fiber. It's like a third of your daily intake requirements. I think like 11 grams, something like that in 2 tablespoons. So you get a massive amount of fiber. I think that's probably the highest fiber food that I know of and I've seen, apart from the Fiber One cereal, which is, kind of like a man-made thing. But I guess if you really want a lot of fiber, you could go for that. That has like, oh my gosh, it has like 66% of your fiber needs in like 1 cup or something like that. It's a lot. So anyways, chia seeds are going to be your best friend if you want to get more fiber in your diet. You can even like make chia seed pudding and kind of eat that as a snack. Use like a healthy sugar-free plant-based milk if you want to kind of decrease your calories and you're trying to lose weight. And some people even drink like chia seed water to like put the chia seeds in the water or your tea throughout the day and kind of get you a little bit of fiber. I always recommend doing like a high fiber breakfast, and I'll leave a link to the recipe in the show notes. And this is what we eat most every morning, and that's oatmeal with chia seeds, flaxseed, hemp seeds, and walnuts, as well as a couple fruits on top of it, as well as a couple other things like cinnamon. And that will really help to kickstart your fiber intake in the morning time and for the rest of the day. And will really get your body filled up with that fiber in a good way. All right, so as I was saying, just switching over to plant-based foods in their whole form is going to dramatically increase your fiber intake. And I will give you a couple of things to look out for and avoid coming up next. And I just wanted to mention with the, with the keto diet, it's something I was listening to with the CEO of a company named Viome, and he is basically a microbiome expert because the whole company is specialized in looking at the microbiome. And he was saying that what they found is one of the problems with keto is that not only are you getting like no fiber, but you're going to be feeding all of this bad bacteria in your system, which basically feeds on the meat and whatnot. And you kind of have like a balance of good and bad bacteria in your gut microbiome. And so the problem is when you go keto, you're going to be increasing this bad bacteria. And of course, you're not feeding the good bacteria with fiber. So you're going to have an imbalance. And that imbalance can lead to cancers and tumors and things like that. It's not a good situation. So, it's funny that when people think about the plant-based diet, their first question is, where does your protein come from? Which, as we discussed before, is not even like a real question. What we should really be asking the general population, and especially people who are going keto, is, well, where does your fiber come from? That makes a lot more sense. Does that make sense? So I just wanted to throw that out there. And as far as the couple of the foods that you want to kind of be aware of, that can be a little bit tricky when you go plant-based. I know I wasn't aware of this for when I first started. When I was trying to go healthier and more plant-based, I would try to drink more juices, like fruit juices, and I thought, oh yeah, well that's like healthy for you. That's good. And my wife she's a doctor, and she was like, no. And like, the truth is, yes, they are better than sodas because you're getting, nutrients from, let's say, oranges if you're drinking orange juice, and you're getting those antioxidants and vitamins, and you're not getting all this processed chemical stuff. But the problem with the juices is they take all the fiber away from the fruit. So normally, if you ate a piece of fruit in the wild, you would pick up an orange and you'd eat the orange or the apple, and you would eat that skin. That's the fiber. That skin that you eat with the fruit is the fiber. So when you juice it, you're getting the sugars, but you're not getting the fiber with it. And that's the key, because the fiber is going to, balance your blood sugar. It's going to keep your blood sugar from spiking, right? And as we said, the fiber has like a ton of other benefits along with it. So you need to be careful when you are going plant-based that you don't just assume that juices are going to cut it or give you fiber, right? Like I said, it's better than soda, but you really want to get the fiber. And a little bit of a trick you can do if you really are set on doing juices is to add chia seeds to them, as I mentioned earlier. So then you'll get those nutrients from the fruits, and then you'll add the fiber back in with the chia seeds, and then you'll get all the antioxidants and good stuff from the chia seeds as well. So if you really want to do it, that's something to consider. Another thing you need to watch out for that you find a lot, and really processed foods is kind of like the culprit, and that's why I always say, whole food plant-based is really the way to go for the best health. So if you look at white flour, this is another thing you need to look out for. So white flour, which is, commonly found all over the place now, is basically been stripped of the fiber. It's the wheat that's been stripped of the fiber. So you want to try to get things in whole wheat form, whole wheat and whole grain form, because that is going to still have the fiber part intact. And another thing you want to look out for, of course, is going to be sugar or added sugar. And that's another thing. If you actually look at cane sugar, to naturally get it, you'd have to chew on, the cane sugar stick. I don't know what it's called, but you actually get some fiber, I believe, when you do that. However, the way we process sugar now is all the fiber is removed, and so you're just getting this burst of sugar without the fiber with it. So that's the other thing to look out for, right? So you want to look out for just white flour and sugar, because those are going to be two foods that have basically had all the fiber removed from them. And that's one of the reasons why so many people are deficient now in fiber, is you've got this combination of eating, more meat and animal-based foods which have no fiber, along with these processed foods which are just, sugar and white flour. And you're also getting a lot of extra added oils too. So that's the last one to look out for. Now, oils in themselves are not necessarily bad, and you do need some fats in like olive oil and avocado oil can have some benefits in moderation. However, a lot of the processed foods go overboard, so you're just getting a lot of calories extra calories in the form of these fats and oils, but without the fiber. So that's another thing that contributes to kind of the low fiber intake that we're seeing nowadays. So those are the foods to watch out for. And as I said, if you're eating plant-based in the whole foods, you should be good as far as your fiber intake. I wouldn't be too concerned. I'm sure you're probably going to get way more fiber than you actually need. I want to say that I saw something a while back, and it hinted at like people who were actually eating these healthy whole foods were getting like way more fiber than they even needed. So I think it's not even a concern. All right, everybody. Well, I really enjoyed sharing this information with you. Like I said, I feel like fiber is like a secret in the plant-based diet, and it is often overlooked and people don't even consider it, but it's got so many useful benefits, and it's one of the benefits of eating whole food plant-based. So let me know what you think and leave your comments and let me know that you were listening. I love to hear from everybody. And thank you so much for listening. Until the next episode.